Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time here on this Halloween Eve, All Hallows Eve. Just thank you, Bert, for the effects. Bert figured out how to get onto the broadcast without being on camera, and now I feel like it's going to be an absolute disaster. For the show, welcome into Prime Time. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about here on this Tuesday evening. The trade deadline came and went. Ben says, Christ on a cracker buck, I'm driving. Bert, you're going to cause wrecks. You're going to cause accidents just screaming at people the way that you did. Look at you, you shirtless idiot. I'm going to put you on camera. Brace yourself. What do you mean? No. Oh, it won't work. What did you do? How did you figure out how to lie? It's so bad. Anyway, welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got the deadline. It came, it went. Derrick Henry's still a Titan. Congratulations to him. We now have to talk about how this football team moves forward or what their plan is, because I'm very, very confused why Kevin Byard is not on this roster today. Nora says that scream made my dog bark. Yeah, the cats looked at me kind of funny in the middle of all that as well. But either way, we've got show to do and not a ton of time to do it. So we'll get started. Share the broadcast around on Facebook. Oh, I guess I could have worn the mayonnaise costume on primetime tonight. It's downstairs. It's in the car, but it's too late. We've already started the show. I was expecting trick-or-treaters, and I thought it'd be weird to answer the door in costume, so I took the costume off. I didn't get a single one. Anyway, we are going to talk about what this means for the Titans, what their direction is, because I'm very confused about why it is that they've made some moves but not other moves, and we can discuss these things together. We will also do the Gone Viral video at the end of the broadcast. We've got a lot of stuff to do, so share the broadcast around. Twitter, retweet the show, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Facebook Live, share now to public. That is in the bottom left. YouTube or Twitch. If you like the screams of Bert in the background, like the video. If you don't like the screams of Bert in the background, like the video anyway. And subscribe to the channel while you're at it. BF said I had the volume all the way up. And he's defecated on himself. That's a pity. Anyway, we've got to talk about a variety of different things, and so we'll do so on the Primetime Show. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Tuesday night from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Wherever justice demands, Amanda J. and her team have you covered. Go to amandajgentry.com and make sure your constitutional rights are protected. TrueMath Fitness, the best place to work out, whether it's group fitness classes, personal training, or just access to their great facility. TrueMath.com, TrueMathFitness.com is where you go for the best workout in Middle Tennessee. And of course, you know that Zen Sports is your place to wager this season. Download the Zen Sports app, plug in that promo code ATOZTN that you see behind me. ATOZTN gets you unlimited 5% cash back for your first 15 days of wagering. All right. Trade deadline. Nothing spooky about it. There was a lot of moves actually made. This was I feel like the trade deadline, especially in the NFL, NBA, there's some stuff that actually happens because one player can legitimately make a difference on a basketball team. Baseball, the same, but football, we don't quite see the level of movement it feels like that we did today. Ironically enough, Rand Carthon was traded for Chase Young. If you think about the way that the 49ers did a deal today, they got a compensatory pick, a compensatory third-round pick when Rand Carthon was hired as the Titans general manager. They also, by the way, got a compensatory third-round pick when DeMeco Ryans was hired as the head coach of the Houston Texans. So one of the compensatory picks, whether it was DeMeco Ryans or Rand Carthon, got traded today for Chase Young, and it was just gravy. The rich get richer. It was pretty wild to see some of the transactions that were flying around. Jody Newell says, heard Saffold was signed today. No use in Tennessee. I didn't see that. Did Roger get signed? I must have missed that. Good on Roger. Absolutely. And could they have used him in Tennessee? Yeah, he's not a right guard. I mean, Brunskill was okay. We don't have to get bogged down with this. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't think they would have brought him back. Roger is definitely listen, I have a lot of respect for Roger Saffold. He's a good football player for a long time. Roger, I think, is like 35. And the fact that he was out on the streets for as long as he was and that he's going to the Jets, which is arguably a worse offensive line situation than yours is, which is pretty crazy. Could they have used him? Sure, for depth, but I'm sure Rodgers not playing. I'm sure Rodgers not playing or getting paid to be depth at this point. I know they've had a lot of injuries with the Jets offensive line. The Jets offensive line has been a really, really tough situation. Justin says, what team is Henry with, Buck? Well, he's right here in Tennessee. And here's what we know about the Derrick Henry trade deadline situation, okay? They had interest from the Baltimore Ravens. They got an offer. It was the only offer that they received. It was not good enough for them to move Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry remains a Titan today for more than any reason because they couldn't restructure his contract, or he didn't get traded before the deadline yesterday that allowed them to restructure the contract and eat the money. And Baltimore doesn't have cap space. So not only did Baltimore not give you the kind of offer that you wanted, or not only did you not receive an offer from anybody that you wanted that would make him worth moving, right? It's coupled by the fact that you let that deadline go past and you couldn't move Derrick Henry's money around to make him easier to trade. Again, Sunday, the loss to the Falcons was not really impactful on whether Derrick Henry got traded or not. It was whether or not they got the right offer from a team. Nobody with a need for a player like Derrick on a roster that's more competitive than the Titans has $5.5 million to spend right now. And that's how much is left on Derrick Henry's deal. So Bert and Ravens fans everywhere get disappointed. They did not end up acquiring a running back the way that it was said that they might. I know Saquon Barkley was talked about a lot at the deadline. Ant Hill says, no, Amy stepped in. No, you are way behind on your fake news. Kaharski outright refuted that from a Ravens, he is written for Ravens.com. He is a freelance writer that said that yesterday. There was no validity to it. That report was refuted. Amy Adam Strunk did not veto any potential Derrick Henry deal. So that's the latest on the Derrick Henry situation. So now we talk about, all right, what does this mean for their direction? Because it's kind of confusing. It's kind of mixed messages. And that's the place that will start tonight at your Two Rivers Ford Take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, in the comment section, wherever you are live streaming here with us this evening. What did you learn about the Titans' plan at the trade deadline? That's my bad, Bert. I forgot a word in there. What did you learn about the Titans' plan at the trade deadline? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford Take is presented by Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. So what does it mean, the direction that this franchise is heading in? Kevin Gant says it means we are going to kick some ass, Buck. Okay, well, listen, you've always gone into this season with the intent to be competitive. That's what makes the Byard thing that much more confusing. Now, maybe you were just going to cut Kevin Byard at the end of the year anyway, because they had been laying the groundwork for some kind of Byard movement, whether it was a trade, whether it was a pay cut, whether it, could have been a release. We're not going to find out because they ultimately found a partner to move Kevin Byard to. But Kevin Byard, at least for this season, one would think that he makes your football team better. The direction that this franchise is heading in is, I think it very much depends on Will Levis, right? They were, of course, encouraged by what they saw from Will Levis. He's not going to look like that every game, and that's okay. It's something to build upon, right? And so the promise of a second-round pick at quarterback, which allows you the opportunity to start to build things out around a viable rookie quarterback, says to you what? Is Derrick Henry in the best interest of this young quarterback, not just this year, but potentially next year? And is it also worth it to keep Derrick Henry around as he potentially, and in all likelihood, Derrick Henry is on pace for just, I think it's just over like 1,025 yards on the season if he keeps, based on his per game average right now in a 17 game sample size. And that's basically, he's not totally splitting reps. He outsnapped Tajay Spears on Sunday, but that's because they had a lead. It played to Derrick Henry's strengths. He can close out the game, and that's what they do, right? That's how they're constructed. So is Derrick Henry in the best interest of this team right now? Yes. You have to sell out to stop the run. It allows the play action to be effective. You've got a quarterback who will push the ball down the field in play action situations. Your protection needs to hold up, and that's very much in question on Thursday. But I think that Derrick Henry still has juice, right? I know we've seen it. Derrick Henry still has juice. Would I have been in favor of them trading him for a 4th round pick? Yes. Unequivocally. Would I be a 4th round pick or better, right? Would I have been in favor of that? Yes, unequivocally, yes. Would that have sucked on a personal level, on a human level? Yes, it would have been terrible on a human level. That would have damaged the fan base's psyche. It would have probably, left a bad taste in Derrick Henry's mouth. And also, that's how these things typically end. On a human level, want Derrick to finish his career however Derrick Henry wants to finish his career, whether it's here, whether it's elsewhere. Derrick has earned that right. He wants to be a Hall of Fame caliber player. He's had a stretch where that's viable and could probably stand to do some more actual winning beyond an AFC Championship game appearance. If that's here or elsewhere, then on a personal level, I want Derrick Henry to achieve whatever it is that he wants to achieve. On a football level, I understand that he's very much a depreciating asset. And that the Derrick Henry decision, emotions are tough to work around, but you have to be able to do it. Now, both things can be so. He can be beneficial from a football standpoint. He is. And also be an asset that is in real time going to be tougher for you to get some value from. And you have to decide whether that value is actually worth it. In this case, it wasn't, right? So Derrick Henry's on the roster. We'll see about an extension. I think that's very much a viable talking point now with Derrick Henry, and should be. But in the reality of personnel in the NFL, players almost never get the clean ending, right? They almost never get the clean ending. And Derrick Henry might again be different. We'll find out. This organization thinks the world of him, and he has done everything within his very, very superhuman powers to try and do right by this organization. So we'll see how this ultimately comes to an end. What we know, though, is it's not ending today or 5.5 hours ago when the 3 p.m. Central Time deadline passed. So what lies ahead for this franchise? It's going to be fascinating. And if you're asking me the most likely scenario for how this Derrick Henry thing goes, I'll get into that here in just a second, because Lucas asked me that question on the radio show, and I feel like it's worth flushing out a little bit here. We'll do that in a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Wherever justice demands, Amanda J. and her team are there to serve you, to protect your constitutional rights, to fight for you, which is what you want when it comes to your rights and your protections. Amanda J. Gentry is the place that you need to seek, is the person that you need to seek. Her and her legal team have practiced in Tennessee family and criminal courts in 35 counties in this state. They are experienced. They are proven. They will go wherever justice demands. AmandaJGentry.com is where you go for more information. So what's the most likely scenario for Derrick Henry's career moving forward? These are the 3 options that Lucas laid out for me today on the radio show that I'll present to you. Derrick Henry, and this was pre-trade deadline, so Derrick Henry moved at the trade deadline. So we're removing that from the equation. So now it's between 2 options. Derrick Henry plays out this season and ends up elsewhere in free agency, that he finishes the year with the Tennessee Titans, and ultimately they say, you know what, We have a lot of money to spend. We think it's best spent elsewhere. Derek, we love you. We think you're the best, but good luck and God bless. So that's one option, right? That Derrick Henry walks this offseason in free agency, however this season ends. The other option is that Derrick Henry gets an extension. And whether that's a 1-year extension, whether that's a 2-year extension, you probably make the money work. You got a ton of money to make work. So what's the more likely scenario in that circumstance? It may run counter to how you view this, but I think when we're presenting the options of most likely, right? Are you betting on one team or are you betting on the field? 31 versus the 1. And there probably aren't going to be 31 teams in on Derrick Henry should he hit free agency. But that's the way that I view it, right? One team as the most likely scenario or 31 other teams as a more likely scenario. The reality is, or the most likely, we don't know what the reality is. We'll find out what the reality is at the end of the season. But the most likely scenario is that he walks in free agency. You're just playing the percentages that way. That's without, real, like, with just playing percentages beyond like actual human interactions, the context that's necessary with Derrick Henry. If you're asking me what's the most likely scenario, I'd say, yeah, the most likely scenario is that you play the percentages and you see him somewhere in a different uniform in 2024. I don't know how realistic, even though it's more likely, not most likely, but more likely. I don't know how realistic that actually is, because Derrick means something here in ways that you can't quantify, that skews the percentages into being not just 1 versus 31, right? Derrick Henry has value. Derrick Henry can still play high-level football. Derrick Henry is kind of a role player already this season. How comfortable is he getting paid like a role player in the coming season? Because the money for Derrick Henry is going to be substantially different on the other side of this year, as many, many running backs are finding out, right? That's been the whole talking point of the offseason. So it does skew the percentages to where I think it's a more level playing field. I would still take the field over the 1 if I'm playing percentages. But I'm fascinated to see how they handle Derrick Henry's situation moving forward, because I think they were pretty indecisive about what they actually wanted to do here with Derrick. And, they ultimately didn't get any kind of offer that would make them have to think twice about it. But now, okay, well, what's the viability of this player moving forward? I legitimately can't wait to see. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Texas Titan says, yeah, at this point, this is a March primetime show. It's true. Yeah, I just, it was a question that was posed to me today on the radio. I was just, and I thought it was just, it made me have to think about it, right? Because I would be inclined to think that they would let the running back walk, but also this is not just any running back for obvious reasons. All right. Anyway, let's keep it moving. What are your expectations for Will Levis on Thursday night? I'm flying out to Pittsburgh. I almost said Seattle. I don't know why. Flying to Pittsburgh. I hope I'm flying to Pittsburgh. I should probably check my itinerary. But Pittsburgh, Thursday night football. There will be no prime time on Thursday, obviously, but we'll do prime time tomorrow night when I'm in Pittsburgh. Actually, my flight is, I think, during prime time, Bert, so we may have to reevaluate that situation. I just realized that in real time, so you and I will discuss after the show. We will keep you updated with what the prime time plan is for tomorrow afternoon, because I'm back to back with a bunch of different things, Greg Cosell and all the things I got to do to get ready for a football game. So we'll keep you posted. But I think that the expectations for Will Levis are going to be through the roof for obvious reasons. Will Levis blew it up in his first NFL start. He was incredible. And while he wasn't perfect, the results were, you felt starstruck watching him almost. That this was the way that this person is going to make his debut into the NFL after having not been even active for a single game. That's the craziest part. This dude wasn't even the backup, just came in here and shelled a top 10 defense and made the wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins that they spent a bunch of money on in the offseason actually look like the wide receiver that we know DeAndre Hopkins to be. So it's crazy. Expectations, though, for him heading into Pittsburgh need to be drastically different. And you'll hear from Will Levis here in just a second, right after I remind you that Primetime is presented by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. Nobody has better group fitness classes or personal training than the folks at TrueMath. You can sign up for a membership today. You can customize your membership as you like with those various group classes and personal training options, and have access to their open gym, their great facility located conveniently downtown Nashville in the Gulch. Go with the best, a new way to work out for the new you, TrueMathFitness.com, where your first workout is free. Chip Clark says, let's go Steelers. I love games at Pittsburgh. Love them. The Renegade song in the fourth quarter for night games, that's the only game that I've done in Pittsburgh previously. I think the Titans played there on I don't think it was a Sunday night football game, maybe a Monday night football game. I can't remember, but this was this like, I don't think this was 2 seasons ago. This was 2021. 2021, the Tennessee Titans played a game. No, I don't even think it was a night game. I think it was like a 3:30 game. Either way, I'm getting bogged down. Renegade, the fourth quarter, it was dark outside, and the atmosphere was electric. And the Titans lost that game, and Renegade was on their necks the whole time. It's just such a cool place to see an NFL game, especially one that's going to be in primetime, as this Thursday night game is going to be. I'm excited to see what it looks like. I know that Kenny Pickett said he is definitely playing today. I know that they are going to be without Minkah Fitzpatrick, which is a big loss for them, but they also have one of the best defensive fronts perpetually in the league. Oilers, Steelers, says Billy Jones, violent games. AFC Central, Steelers and Titans, violent games, right? This is the kind of, it's going to be probably ugly. I don't know that I expect to see 28-23 tomorrow night in Pittsburgh with Will Levis's first road start in an environment like that, but I'm looking forward to it because I think both teams have a lot to prove right now, and the Titans obviously have just had a new spark that not a lot of teams get 8 weeks in. Frank Griffin says Vrabel-style football. Yeah, 100% accurate. Mike Vrabel lives for these kind of games, and not just because he was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what are your expectations for Will Levis? Well, Titans media caught up with Will Levis in the locker room today, and he had some thoughts of his own about how he maintains that level of performance.
Well, at least a little bit about you. Now you face another team on quick track.
Yeah, for sure. That's a takeaway that, one that you don't really think about at first. Like, obviously now it's the first time that there's 4 quarters of film on me, and people might have an idea of what they want to do. So, not that it's going to change, necessarily how I play, but just something to keep in mind.
What was it like, I guess, in the 24 hours after the game, and then how quickly did you have to just forget about that and focus on another game?
Yeah, it was crazy. Couldn't really take any time to celebrate. Obviously, took the moment and enjoyed it with my family and the loved ones who I had with me there. But, like Coach said, our mind had to flip to Pittsburgh right there at 4 o'clock on Sunday with a quick turnaround.
Obviously, that was an emotional day, your first NFL start. You're going under the lights now in Pittsburgh. How do you keep it all kind of down?
Yeah, it's awesome. Playing or not, I've had this game circled on schedule just because of how great the environment's going to be. I know that their fans are going to come out, and it's going to be a nice environment. So, we're ready to handle it, and I'm just looking forward to going, taking it all in, and then just doing my thing.
How would you feel like your confidence is like a priority in terms of being a contagious factor for the entire roster?
Shoot, yeah. If you're not confident in yourself, you don't believe in yourself, nobody will. Same goes for just my confidence with the entire offense. Is being the quarterback. You got to make sure that you have the right mindset because guys are gonna be looking to you, and you got to pick guys up when they're down and keep them neutral when things are up. So. It's definitely a big part of the job.
Going into that loud stadium, it's a big-time environment. What do you think are some of the challenges that you'll be facing?
First NFL game with this type of environment, so definitely something to think about. I've played in loud stadiums before, so I know the challenges that come with it. Just being clear with your communication, making sure that our operation and how we're going to handle things, and how things might be different compared to a home game. That we're all locked in on that. But the guys have been great so far this week with the reps we've got, and we just got to keep building.
With not a lot of practice last week and then going into this week, not a lot of practice with your guys, how are you able to build that rapport so quickly, specifically with a guy like DeAndre?
I mean, I just got trust for them. I think they got trust for me too, and just trusting that we're on the same page and that we're seeing the same things. And obviously, my development as a learner of this game is far from over, and I got to keep learning and seeing things more clearly. But just if we're clicking like that, we got to make sure we keep going.
You need to know where TJ is before every snap?
Oh, yeah, we definitely got to be where 90 is for sure. We got confidence in our guys that we can take care of them, and just getting the ball out and knowing what we're going to expect from them defensively. Hopefully have some things to counter it.
Will, how big of a help?
So that's Will Levis speaking earlier this afternoon. Titans travel to Pittsburgh, of course, tomorrow. I travel to Pittsburgh tomorrow. I'm looking forward to getting back there. It's a great city. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great football fan base. And I know that the Titans are in for a pretty good fight. But I think the Titans have some fight themselves, or at least based on what we saw Sunday. We'll see how much that travels, because that's been one of their biggest issues, right? Will Levis solved the red zone problem. He just aired it out. Touchdowns from 47, 33, and 61. You don't need to have red zone problems when you can score touchdowns on explosive plays. But they struggle. They haven't won a game away from Nissan Stadium at this point. And Pittsburgh on a short week is a pretty tough test. We'll find out a lot about this team, I think, in a couple of days. All right, let's wrap things up with a Gone Viral video here on the Primetime Show. The question for you guys is this: what's the best thing that you've seen on the internet this week? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, we will discuss at length together right after I remind you that Primetime is presented by the Zen Sports folks. Promo code ATOZTN. That is the code that gives you unlimited 5% cash back on your first 15 days of wagering. It's a great offer. No sportsbook is giving you a better offer than what Zen Sports is offering you there. Unlimited 5% cash back is clutch. And for your first 15 days of wagering, we had the sports equinox yesterday, right? Hockey, baseball, football, and basketball, all on the same night. Electric. Zen Sports is where you can wager as we continue through the best time of the sports calendar. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Best thing I saw on the internet this week comes courtesy of Inside the NFL, and it just happens to feature your favorite football team.
We've got a rookie at the helm, perhaps the future face of the franchise.
Play fake, looking, Levis throwing deep, Levis trying to get it to Hopkins. Will Levis, first career touchdown.
Yeah, Will Levis, man. I told you.
Levis looking to throw it. The trifecta! Levis to Hopkins!
Oh, Scott. He's the quarterback. Damn, Will can play, man.
Levis rolling to the right, looking. Firing deep downfield, going for Westbrook Akine in the end zone. Will Levis has just thrown his fourth touchdown pass of his NFL debut.
So that's the Inside the NFL. There's a great episode out specifically, Levis being a big part of it, his rookie debut. It's crazy. We had Warren Moon, the Hall of Famer, Houston Oilers legend, on the radio show today. We talked a lot about some of the throws and the footwork that Levis didn't have on those throws that were going 50, 60, 65 yards in the air. It's pretty wild to see that. He needs a lot of work still, right? He's got a lot of work that he has to do, but that he came out that way, gave them the effort that they needed in that game to get a win, gave them the firepower that they needed to get a win in that game. It's going to be tough to keep. It's going to be tough to take him out of the lineup when Tannehill is healthy, right? But we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh. It's Coach Mack tells us all the time: keep your powder dry, right? Keep your powder dry. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. It's the same kind of. It's basically another version of the coaching cliche: just chill the bleep out and let's see what happens. And that's tough to do when the rookie quarterback just came in and threw 4 touchdowns wearing Houston Oilers throwback uniforms. Pretty crazy. Titan Kong says, Buck, do you think we do not underestimate? That's a double negative. Are you saying, do you think we underestimate Mike Tomlin? I don't think anybody underestimates Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is an insane person. Mike Tomlin's talking about players chopping off their eyelids because they don't blink. Like Mike Tomlin, Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers are who the Tennessee Titans and Mike Vrabel want to be. That's how I view Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Like, they're the real tough guys. They're the champions. They're the grinded out, gutted out, hard-nosed running game, incredible defense. The Steelers are the model. And the Titans aspire to that model. They've had moments where they very much can be that model. But with the level of consistency that Mike Tomlin has done it. Tomlin's been coaching as a head coach for a hell of a lot longer than Mike Vrabel has and still has yet to have a losing season. Mike just came off his first. It's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show. Quick reminder that it is made possible by the great people at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. We're going to tell you who's on the radio show here in just a second, because the radio show is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. Do have to remind you that you don't sell without the intel, and the intel edge you can only get with the official real estate agent of the Ashton team. Go to GaryAshton.com for more information. So radio show today was so much fun. We had a great time. Lucas and I dressed up as mayonnaise, a mayonnaise jar and a cup of coffee. We had Warren Moon on today. You can go check that out in the second hour of the podcast. Tomorrow, Arden Key for I think it's the fourth time. Arden Key's been on this roster for less than a year. He's been on the radio show 4 times because he just can't get enough of high key, low key. So we're going to do that with Arden Key tomorrow at 12:30. And I believe, who else is on the radio show tomorrow? Oh, Mike Golick Jr. Mike Golick Jr. is going to be on the radio show tomorrow. Been a while since we've had Junior on. I think since he's had his DraftKings or ESPN to DraftKings move. But it's going to be great. We're going to have a great time together. Join us from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. And if I don't see you there, I may not see you because I don't know what the primetime deal is for tomorrow night, given my travel situation. But that's just occurred to me. And so now I have to text Austin, Zach, and Bert to figure out what the hell we're going to do about primetime. Don't worry. We'll let you know on social media. And I'll see you guys at some point tomorrow.
Ready?